Hello, today I'd like to talk about the ESTJ type, the boss. ESTJ's main functions are extroverted thinking, introverted sensing, extroverted intuition, introverted feeling. Their judging functions are the same as the ENTJ, but their perceiving functions are different. ESTJ uses extroverted TE to control the environment, to measure the environment somehow, and I guess they try to organize it. And thinking types see organic things as inorganic objects, I believe, unlike FE types. So they see other people, ENTJ and ESTJ see other people or other living organisms, animals, as objects or assets to be organized to, I guess, in order for them to gain power or control over them, so as to feel secure in their environment. ESTJ uses SI, memory or tradition for this purpose, whereas ENTJ uses NI, foreseeing problems and avoiding risks. ESTJ uses also around early 30s, they finish developing extroverted intuition, and they start using extroverted intuition in addition to introverted sensing, their memory. In addition to their memory, they can, I guess, improvise or imagine new solutions through this NE function. It gives them some kind of enhanced flexibility, I guess, in later ages. And perhaps in around 50s they may finish developing this FI, which I relate to emotions, art, passion, etc. They may, I guess, ESTJs in later ages might get involved in arts, drawing, painting, etc. just like ENTJs. ENTJ on the other hand develops as tertiary as SE, and this is risk-taking behavior, aggression, impulsiveness. So ENTJ, until that age, ENTJs are risk-averse. They try to foresee problems and avoid risks, but when they develop SE, they began to take risks, become more confrontational when need be, or when it is more opportune for them to do so. Anyway, moving on from ESTJ, these are the ESTJ's functions. It says here, since their auxiliary develops till 30s, but I don't think so, because I guess my tertiary developed around, I am not an ESTJ, but my tertiary function developed around 30 or 35, it's finished developing. So I don't think these age brackets are correct. Anyway, this is an infographic from the web. ESTJ, Guardian, Natural Riddle, Practical, Responsible, Perseverance, Result-Oriented, Detailed, Guardian, it says here. Top careers, Credit Analyst, Detective. I think ISTJs are better detectives. ESTJ would not like the detective role. They would like to be some chief officer or something like that. They would like to be a manager. So they would do good in command positions rather than employee positions. Hillary Clinton might be one. Henry Ford perhaps. Careers for ESTJs: sheriff, deputy sheriff, not necessarily. Food service manager, not necessarily. Pharmaceutical sales representative, no. I think STPs would do better at sales departments. Sales manager perhaps might be. Another infographic. ESTJs are practical, realistic, matter of fact. They take practical approach to life. They abhor laziness, cheating. They naturally step into leadership roles, within world of facts and concrete needs. ESTJ is usually a model citizen. Potential to become overly detail-oriented, business administrator, financial officer, office manager, military. Judge, jury, yes, Martha Stewart, perhaps. Another infographic. Their stressors are uncertainty, indecision, constant changes, lack of control, disregard for their rules and established rules and regulations which are related to their auxiliary SI function, their memory and tradition. ESTJs, you may think that work well done is its own reward, but other people may need more verbal encouragement and support for their efforts. ESTJs are practical, realistic, matter of fact. They can organize projects and people to get things done. Then they can take a clear set of standards, forcefully implement their plans. I guess my second manager at work might be an ESTJ. I guess she's an ESTJ, and I think I'm an INFJ, and here are the differences. We are having I am having problems working under her or working for her. I want to do tasks that require intuition and innovation, but she insists on giving me tasks that are repetitive in nature and detail oriented, that are related to facts rather than innovation. And I don't know why she does that. She thinks I don't have much time. It's been about a year and a half in her department, and she is giving me tasks that she can't risk assigning to some senior staff, but despite that she insists on treating me as a junior staff. She disregards my output, my quality of my work, and just classifies me based on my time in her department, based on seniority, and that offends me. ESTJ, the fascist. This is of course supposed to be funny, but I guess there is some truth in it. ESTJs make good administrators, especially if they remember to consider others' feelings and points of view, which they often miss. I think they cannot do that until they develop their FI, inferior function, but it would take them about 50 years, I guess, to develop it. Until that time, they would be very uncaring about others' feelings, I guess, or uncaring about offending others. They would unknowingly sabotage the morale and motivation of their personnel, resulting in decreased efficiency and productivity. ESTJs have the tendency to believe that they are always right. Yes, this is something that all T-dominant types, TI and T-dominant types suffer from, I guess. They have a need to be right. they don't necessarily, T dominant types don't necessarily see the truth, but they want to be correct or right all the time, and if someone points out that they are not, they employ different kind of avoidance or repulsion mechanisms to keep their self-image of correctness intact. Unlike this is the main difference, I guess, between T dominant types and T auxiliary T types. Auxiliary T types, I guess, can acknowledge that they are wrong, and in fact, I guess auxiliary T types are glad that someone points that they are incorrect, because in that way they can revise and upgrade their way of thinking, whereas T dominant types have a compulsive need to be correct and can get butthurt when proven incorrect. This is also another sarcastic text from the web. ESTJs are the other people in hell. In hell is other people. They are the middle managers with smiles and fairness disproportionate with how important they are for the company, and their only job is to tell you to work harder, which they enjoy. They are the coach for your kids' sports team who base their entire self-worth on the team. They are the aunts who hold together the family by silencing anybody who does not smile in the family portrait. They cannot grasp that others might not value the same things they value, and the way they cannot grasp this is very, very firm. You do not have a relationship with an ESTJ, you have a contract, etc. But this is, of course, sarcastic text, but there are truths hidden in it about ESTJs, and this is something I prepared about ESTJ. I try to explain how their functions might work. Dominant T, I must gain respect, power by control. Auxiliary SI, by following tradition, memory, their tried and true methods. Tertiary NE, when they develop it, or by going against my tried and true methods or traditional my memory. And their inferior function, inferior FI, I miswriting it here. They do all this to avoid emotions and feeling weak and feminine. These are some posters I found on the web. This is, I guess this might be correct typing. And this is Mycroft Holmes character from Sherlock Holmes TV series. I think he's an ESTJ. There are some gifs here. Something I note is that despite their controlling, they are not very aggressive characters, physically aggressive, I mean. That's, I guess, because they do not have SE function in their functions, among their functions. I guess SE function gives people some kind of murderous intent and aggression and impulsiveness, physical and propensity for physical violence. And I don't see it in his eyes here. So I guess he is indeed an ESTJ. But that means they are dependent on laws and regulations, I guess, to exercise their control. So in the absence of laws or rules, I cannot grasp how they would exercise their control over people. So They are dependent on bureaucracy, I guess, to exercise control, whereas ENTJs have tertiary SE, which when they develop gives them, I guess, some kind of propensity for violence and some murderous intent to them, which they can use to intimidate others to submit to their will, to control them. As you can see, he is not an intimidating or threatening character. He can only corner you through the use of law and law enforcement, I guess. In the absence of laws, again, he couldn't do anything. And I relate the ESTJ type to the fighter class in role-playing games because they have low intuition, which means they are not a caster type, and they have some sensing function which gives them some physical aptitude. That's why I liken them to the fighter class in role-playing games, but that might be open up to debate. I associated ISTJ, for instance, with the Dark Knight as someone with propensity for quite high propensity for physical violence, because their dominant SI could also be used in the shadow version as a dominant SE function, which would give ISTJs a quite murderous and violent nature, whereas I liken ISTPs to assassins hiding in shadows. Their mirror image, the ESTJ, should be something akin to that. I don't know. Suddenly I became confused. Now I became confused now. I will think more about it and perhaps change their class to something else later on. Anyway, moving on. These are fighter images I found on the web. Oh, there seems to be some mismatch here. This is a politician from my country, and I think she is an ESTJ. She looks a bit like Mycroft, as you can see. Their nose, eyes, brows are almost like the same. Their complexion. So I think she is an ESTJ. She is not an intimidating character. And also Princess Leia is typed here as ESTJ, but I don't think so. She doesn't have a desire for control or power. I think she's an ISTJ rather than ISTJ, a duty fulfiller. Also the same politician from my country. This guy, I forgot his name, but he's a US guy, some news journalist, I guess. He also has the same eyes and eyebrows and smile. I think he is also an ESTJ. Judge Judy might also be an ESTJ. the same politician from my country, different photos of her. And I also believe Hitler, even though he is typed as an INFJ, I think I am also. I don't think Hitler is an INFJ, but he might be an ESTJ because, first of all, that kind of command and organization skill over people requires a high TE function, because Hitler turned. Germany was devastated after First World War, but Hitler managed to rally German people into rebuilding the country, and he built this war machine out of that devastated Germany. And I guess that's not a small feat. That's something a TE dominant type can do. But I am wondering is whether he is an ENTJ or ESTJ, but I don't see that SE, aggression and murderous intent, in his body language. I think he is an ESTJ, and he relied on the rule of law to exercise his power over people rather than intimidation and SE. As you can see, he is smiling here, and he also here looks a lot like the female politician from my country here, for instance here, he looks a lot like her. I think all types similar facial features, their psyche is somehow reflected on their faces. Here again he's smiling. I don't get that murderous intent from his facial expressions or his eyes. He's like more like a goofy character. And that's, I guess, due to any tertiary and goofiness. So I guess Hitler is an ESTJ. I don't know why he is typed as an INFJ. INFJs are lost in their minds, in their dominant NI. They don't have enough presence in the real world. INFJs don't have. Their inferior function is SE. They don't have the presence to rally or control people. They don't have TE function. So I think that's a great mistyping about INFJs. I don't know who started it. Anyway, more fighter drawings on the web that I found on web. I am still not sure about whether ESTJ is a fighter or some weaker melee class or some kind of rogue class, because I typed ISTPs, their counterpart is assassins, and I guess assassin is a rogue class, weaker than a fighter class. Perhaps I was wrong there. Perhaps ESTJ also a rogue class or some class weaker than a fighter class. I will think more about it. So this is the alignment coordinate system I prepared. There is an alignment concept in role-playing games that designates your character's psyche and demeanor. The alignment nomenclature has two letters. One is the chaos or law axis, and the other is good or evil axis. So depending on the position, your character have lawful good, lawful, neutral, lawful, evil, or chaotic good, chaotic evil, chaotic neutral, or neutral evil, or neutral good, or alignments, yes, and true neutral, perhaps. So I denoted ESTJs as lawful evil because here evil is represented by masculinity and the thinking function in Myers-Briggs. So ESTJs having a dominant T function are hyper-masculine characters. That's why they are, in this sense, they are evil or masculine. Also, their SI, auxiliary SI, means they are bound to law and tradition, so they are lawful, also lawful characters, not as lawful as ISTJs, but somewhat lawful again. So they are lawful evil, and I assigned warrior class to them, but I am not sure again. And I guess from the Lord of the Rings movie, Boromir and Thorin can be given as examples to ESTJ, perhaps. I am not sure about Thorin though. Thorin is an aggressive character. Anyway, this quadrant is the TE quadrant, the extroverted thinking quadrant, made up of ENTJ, ESTJ, ISTJ, INTJ, ISTJ dark knight, INTJ lawful neutral, INTJ sorcerer true neutral, ENTJ warlock neutral evil, ESTJ warrior lawful evil. The TE domain I represent it as opportunist collectivism, resistance is futile. This is the board motto of board from Star Trek series, resistance is futile. It's related to industriousness, control, power, and I relate it to dwarves in Lord of the Rings settings. Lord of game, realm. And I also try to associate each Enneagram type to an MBTI type. And there is a video about this in my video list. If you want, you can watch it. And I believe Enneagram 6, who have a desire for security and loyalty, relates to TE dominant types, ENTJ and ESTJ. So I think this Enneagram 6's anxiety and desire for security results in them seeking positions of power and organizing their community and environment into some kind of structure that would enable them, or that would give them security from outside powers, that would provide security against outside powers, I guess. So that's all I can tell you about the ESTJ type. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to your comments, and bye.